Hello, welcome back to the Paris newsroom here at France 24. Time for us to take a look through the day's international newspapers with our newspaper reviewer, Carl Brown. Hi there, Carl.
Good morning to you.
We're going to be taking a look at a story that's dominating the news headlines. Syria, the latest developments in that conflict.
Yes, Robert Fisk of The Independent has been talking about not only the current situation, but the past. He's looking at a number of things that have been destroyed, heritage sites, Crusader castles, the citadel of Al-Mudik, Roman mosaics of Apamea. He's saying that there are a number of things that have either been damaged or destroyed. Damascus itself remains intact, but he says that there is the Assad National Library, which is threatened, of course, by the continuing battles in and around the capital. And he says, okay, I acknowledge that this is a bizarre question to be asking right as we're seeing some of the worst violence over the past 12 to 14 months. But he says, how dare we ask about the past when the present is very much in danger? But he said the heritage does matter, and he goes back to the manuscripts in the library, the tales of past wars. He says, listen, if we don't pay attention to some of these heritage sites, to some of these things that provide such a rich heritage for the country, well, we'll never learn to avoid any future wars.
Okay, well, let's move on from a very tough, difficult situation to a happier story, really. We've seen some very excited engineers and space scientists in California. They've been celebrating the Curiosity rover landing on Mars. Now, to me, it looks like a big version of the Wall-E robot from the movies. We've got a full feature on it in The Atlantic.
Yes, and actually, that's not bad. I was wondering where I saw that before. It took 8 months to travel that distance, 567 million kilometers. The full name, of course, is the Mars Science Laboratory. And yeah, the Curiosity carries about 10 instruments, one of which, The Atlantic says, is a laser. It can fire a laser into rock that apparently, according to The Atlantic, turns it into vapor. I'm not sure if that's entirely true, so I went to the NASA website, and it does acknowledge that it has a laser firing instrument for checking the elemental composition of rocks from a distance, so somewhat more complex there. But how did it get to Mars? Now, that's the question. Atlantic has a whole suite of photos, and it has an explanation as to how this interplanetary spacecraft carried Curiosity. It was in this kind of protective shell, which, when it got to some distance above Mars, the rockets helped it decelerate. It finally landed, launching these parachutes so that it could actually land safely. And of course, I'm sure that some of us saw the scenes of jubilation at headquarters because it was
nail-biting moments for those engineers.
Yes.
After all that work they've put into it.
Yeah, and it was called the most daring landing ever made in an alien world.
Dramatic stuff indeed. Well, from one wonder of nature to another, we are talking about Usain Bolt, who's been confirmed as the fastest man on the planet. So what are the papers saying about that race yesterday evening?
Well, it happens to be Jamaican independence today, 50 years marking independence. And so what better way to celebrate than to see not just Usain Bolt win #1 position in the 100-meter dash, but Jamaica occupying #2 position as well. Yet another, episode in the long-running success of Jamaican running. Tropical storm Ernesto passed through Jamaica as people were trying to watch the race on the screens in Jamaica, and there were a number of reports of wind and rain lashing the Smile Island, but it didn't dampen people's spirits. But in fact, the Prime Minister, Portia Simpson Miller, said, let's not get too excited. Let's take care of the elderly, the young, the disabled, in order to make sure that they're taken care of and that we don't lose sight of them in the excitement.
Absolutely. Very exciting times for Jamaica. As you said, plenty of celebrations there. Thanks very much for that roundup of the international newspapers. That was Kyle Brown here on France 24.